now join the debate. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Let me start by indicating that I think that we have actually done a pretty good job of the refurbishments that have happened in this house. Yeah. And I know, given the limited finances to do it, I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish in that period. Let me also start by thanking those in the Tobago Regional Health Authority who have been working tirelessly. We have come out of a time where most other sectors kind of had a break, but those in the Tobago Regional Health Authority did not have a break at all. They went through, they pushed through, and in the middle of everything, we've been able to come out of this successfully. And I want to publicly thank all of them for the hard work. I know that it's not perfect. I know this. Almost every Monday morning, I jokingly with my colleagues speak about all of the things that we need to fix and we need to change within the Tobago Regional Health Authority. But coming into this exercise today actually forced me to rethink how much work they have actually been doing and how well they've been functioning given the situation. I would ask us to make up our minds, what do we want to do? Do we want to take immediate action because we think immediate action would resolve an issue? Because that is in essence what the motion is asking for. But then after you ask, Madam Presiding Officer, for us to take immediate action, you then turn around and say, too little, too late, it's not going to solve anything. So maybe we need to rethink exactly what we are asking us to do. Because if it means that you have already given up on the process, then maybe we should have rescinded this motion completely. Because in your mind, through you, Madam Presiding Officer, it is too little, too late. See, you also, through you, Madam Presiding Officer, the Minority Leader indicated that, yes, the process which in essence was outlined, there were a couple inaccuracies, but in general, the process that was outlined is the process. And this Tobago House of Assembly, this Executive Council, has actually done that. The names that we have picked have already been sent, and we really are just waiting for the Cabinet to do what they need to do to get that done. But that's fine, because what we are talking about is how we actually influence people's lives. Now, I know the word illegal has been thrown about several times, and the thing about legality and illegality is that it can easily be tested. It can easily be tested. Now, what we are experiencing is probably something that we are not used to. What we are experiencing is probably something that is not a conventional way of doing things. But if we really want to test the legality of the system, that can actually happen. And there is no reason for us to not test the legality of what is currently happening if we honestly believe that it is illegal. One of the things we came into is something that is known as a TRHA governance plan that was done, the date of the one that we have been working with is actually 2011. And that TRHA governance plan is one that, in essence, outlines how the TRHA is to function as it relates to the board, the CEO, as it relates to the Tobago House of Assembly, and all of that. All of those are outlined in the TRHA governance plan that is being used. I would say, though, that we are actually currently working on updating that TRHA governance plan, because while we've been thinking through what has worked and what has not worked, and why it has worked and why it has not worked, we recognize that within the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, there are inefficiencies within the Tobago House of Assembly component of the management of healthcare on the island. So one of the things you would hear me continually speak about is the fact that we are restructuring the division, and that includes actually implementing a Department of Health. And that Department of Health, Madam Presiding Officer, would in essence do all of the background work to allow us to say, these are our health concerns, this is the best way to fix these health concerns. TRHA, we are asking you to be a service provider, full stop. So we can say very clearly to the Tobago Regional Health Authority, these are the 10 things we want you to do. We are giving you $10 million to do it. And at the end of the period, we say we have done the monitoring and evaluation of that. You've fulfilled your side of the bargain, and we're all happy. That part of management of health currently does not exist in the Tobago space, and it is actually being developed as we speak. And as a result of that, this TRHA governance plan is being reworked to include those kinds of inclusions. As the minority leader indicated, that governance plan is actually what outlines what the limits are in terms of what the CEO can spend and so forth, and that is what we've been following over the last couple months. The minority leader spoke as if to indicate the only period where we did not have a board of directors for the TRHA was that period where there was that situation between the Tobago House of Assembly and the Minister of Tobago Development or whatever. But in fact, over the last how many years, there have actually been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 periods where there were no boards. And it may not have been the best situation, and the quality of care may not have necessarily been the best at that time, but in those periods, there wasn't an issue of illegality either. So it's not just at this point. We have, going all the way back, March 2006 to July 2006, July 2008 to April 2009, March 2011 to August 2011, August 2013 to March 2014, April 2016 to June 2016, August, I said that already, and of course, July 2020 to September 2020. Now, when you add up all of those, that is actually close to about 3 years of no actual board being appointed in the Tobago Regional Health Authority before the Progressive Democratic Patriots, so Farley and Friends, or now I understand it's Farley, Faith and Friends, it's okay, I can take that, has been operating. It's kind of coincidental that the people who said Farley and Friends and the people who now saying Farley, Faith and Friends sound so similar, but that is a different story. Now, the thing about the situation with the Board of Directors of the Tobago Regional Health Authority is that, okay, maybe I should step back. The TRHA Act says that the Tobago House of Assembly is responsible for health care. The Secretary is responsible for policy. No, the TRHA Act does not speak about the Secretary or anything like that, but the RHA Act does say that as it relates to the TRHA, the Tobago House of Assembly is the entity that provides policy and so forth. Now, that is also very clear in the document. And it is also clear in the fact that since we have come into existence, I have actually had to make it a point to speak with the Minister of Health, who, by the way, we actually have a pretty decent working relationship, to speak with the Minister of Health and say to him, I know that we have been having this total separation feeling of Tobago versus Trinidad, but what makes more sense is for us not to be fighting each other. What makes more sense is for whatever the Ministry of Health is agreeing on in terms of policy, let us include Tobago in those discussions so that whatever the Ministry of Health is proposing is one that already takes the Tobago Regional Health Authority stance in as part of the decision making. So now, for example, we have the CEO of the TRHA being included in meetings with the minister, with the other CEOs in Trinidad and so forth, because we recognize that things were happening out there that we would only find out about after the fact, when in fact it would actually make more sense in terms of actual application of what we're doing, for us to all be at the table and have the discussion so that when it is being rolled out, it's rolled out properly, including what is needed for Tobago. Now, speaking about CEOs, I think it's important to note that even though we have a whole period where there was about 2 to 3 years with no board over the last how many years, one of the reasons why we have the issue with the quality of health care on the island has to do with the fact that the office of the CEO for the TRHA is actually one that has been a revolving door so often. So nobody never really get a chance to get in, sit down, buckle down, understand what is happening, and then actually implement what is needed to happen. And let's just give a couple examples. We have one that was there, an actual CEO, from August 2001 until about 2002. We then have an acting, and I'm saying you have to pay attention to CEO versus acting, because CEO means they've actually been hired and appointed and all of that, right? We have an acting CEO from 2002 July to 2003 January. We have a CEO from 2003 to 2005. Coincidentally, the acting became the actual CEO at that point. 2005 February to October 2005, another acting CEO. 2005 November to about 2007, a CEO was in place. 2007, July to May 2010, another acting CEO. So you realize what's going on. These are all different. All of them is different people, except the first two, where I said the acting went into the CEO. 2010, June to 2011, CEO. August 2011 to February 2012, acting CEO. February 2011 to August 2014, CEO. Not same people. June 2014 to May 2015, acting CEO. June 2015 to November 2015, CEO. Now one come and go so quickly, we're not even sure what happened. November 2015 to October 2016, acting CEO. November 2016 to acting. October 2017 to June 2018, somebody in the board performing the duties of CEO. June 2018 to August 2018, acting CEO. And August to November 2018, this is a new one, interim CEO. November 2018 to June 2019, acting CEO. June 2019 to March 2020, CEO. Then we have another interim CEO, which is what we came into. And now we have a CEO who is there. Now, anyone who is listening to that list would recognize that any organization where the leadership of the organization has changed so many times is one that in and of itself is going to be difficult to function because you really don't know what will happen tomorrow. And no one has been there long enough to even make a real dent into what is required. I'm not going to be very long because the reality is the process to get the board is now out of our hands. The reality also is, though, that even when there were boards in place, there were some decisions that just don't make no sense. So, for example, and I will just use this one example again because it's already after 3. I don't want to be here for very long. A board made a decision that nurses who were moving up the ladder, public service nurses moving up the ladder, doing all they have to do to move up the ladder. When they get to the point of being so good that we could send them out in the district, you know, the DHVs, the one in the Bronx, that we have so much respect for these nurses. A board made a decision to take away all of the service, all of those people, those nurses. And if you apply and you interview and you're successful at the interviews and you want to become a district health visitor, you have to give up all your service and get a contract. That is a decision that was made by a duly constituted legal board in the past of the TRHA. And we are trying to figure out now how we are going to reverse stuff like that, because it actually affects people's real lives and livelihoods. So, I have said it publicly. That I have wanted to honestly take time to find the people who are competent and who would make rational decisions to place them on all of the boards that are under the jurisdiction of the Division of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection. Particularly this one, because the process for this one, as the minority leader rightly explained, is out of our hands. It now has to go to the cabinet for them to make a decision, and that we are waiting for. Now, instead of coming here and saying you want me to do it, but it doesn't make sense because it's too late, maybe it is worth contacting your colleagues in the cabinet to have them. Now, granted, I do not think, because this Executive Council has actually had a pretty decent working relationship with the cabinet, I don't think that there's anything malicious happening right now in terms of it being unduly delayed or anything like that, just because we are on different sides of the political fence. But maybe with some prodding, we will get it a little faster.
I just want to pose a, I just want to pose a question.
It's a debate, Madam Presiding Officer. We're in the middle of a debate. You can't ask a question in the middle of a debate.
Sorry. It's just a point of clarification. I just want the Secretary.
Madam Presiding Officer, we are in the middle of a debate. This is not a question and answer segment.
I'm just asking the Secretary to tell us when was
Minority
the information
Minority
transmitted?
Leader, you have 30 minutes to wrap up at the end of the member's question. If it's not a point of order, let the member continue, please. Please, members, allow the member to finish her presentation. Member, continue.
Thank you. Just shoot a call and say to your colleagues, this is absolutely critical. I think, and it is my view, speaking on your behalf, that this is something that needs to happen quickly. So we are asking for it to happen quickly. We would actually appreciate that. Now, we would appreciate that because I am actually very happy with the individuals who we've identified to be on the board. And one of the reasons I did not speak about it is because I understand the process that we have to go through. And I did not want to say, we are making an announcement when the process was not completed. There will be a big hoopla when the process is completed. Now, let me take a little bit of the time, though, to do two things. One, before I forget, I hear people have been messaging me. No, let me do that after. Given that we have not had a board, and given that the minority leader believes that the thousands of workers at the Tobago Regional Health Authority have been providing such absolutely horrible service to the people of Tobago, I asked them
it's just a basic error, right? And I didn't ask you for lessons.
Okay.
Madam Presiding Officer,
Member.
I never said
the member on the other side indicated that individuals meet him all the time and complain about being up at the hospital for hours and so forth. Yes, I know that it have DR in front of my name.
Minority Leader, can we allow the member to finish, please?
There is a DR in front of my name, but I am certainly not at the hospital providing actual service. So if we are talking about the absolute horrible service that people are complaining about, then it is obvious that we are talking about the individuals who are actually providing that service. And as much as I would have loved that to be me, that is not me. That is not me. Madam Presiding Officer, but because of that, I have actually asked the members of the Tobago Regional Health Authority to provide for us what they think are some of the wins that have happened over the last couple months. And I actually...
Member, you have 5 minutes.
That's okay. I am happy that I did that, because even though I am also frustrated sometimes with how slowly we have been moving things along, this document actually shows that they've actually been doing a whole lot of stuff over the period, and they've been doing phenomenal work. Now, granted, it is not perfect and there's always room for improvement. But we have, for example, ICU preceptor training, where nurses are actually learning how to use these machines and stuff like that. That didn't happen before. Neonatal resuscitation training, where practically everybody who has been part of the maternity ward and pediatrics and so forth, they are there so that they now know how to resuscitate neonates, the little babies and so forth, that kind of thing. Yes, I am actually happy that we finally have services happening at the Roxborough Hospital, because I remember when the Prime Minister came up years ago and cut ribbon and all kind of thing. So yes, I am very happy that we are having actual services at the. And no, it is not perfect, and no, we do not have inpatient services yet. And I'm actually sending a call out to some of the specialists that are out there, Tobagonians who might actually want to come home, because we realize there's actually a serious HR issue, where we are asking for specialist doctors for the different fields to apply, and then we're not getting the applications, we're not getting them in. So if you're a Tobagonian out there and you want to come back, certainly join us. We've seen so many patients at the A&E now, that, by the way, runs from Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I will skip through quite a bit of this, and I would actually go to some of the things we spoke about earlier as being able to provide, because a lot of these things are what the workers at the Tobago Regional Health Authority really were clamoring for. We have 703 gratuity payments have actually been made for this period thus far. That is totaling over $29 million of gratuity payments. So, remember, before all of the elections, before we used to hear all of the workers complaining about they didn't get a gratuity, they didn't get a gratuity, they didn't get a gratuity. They are getting their gratuities. Yeah? We hear them talk about how the TRHA owes so many people, and that is true. The TRHA owes so many people because they have not been paying the bills. And by the way, let me just put this in. You see that talk about them vouchers? Them food vouchers that people were just giving away over in the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. And for the last day of the fiscal year, for my administrator to call me and tell me, you know, we owe all of them groceries. It's millions of dollars we owe the groceries. It's millions of dollars we owe the groceries. Those same vouchers that they have been giving, we owe for them. We have not paid for them yet.
Okay, members. Okay.
No apologies for feeding to me.
We understand.
Madam Presiding Officer, we have paid to TRHA suppliers a total of over $160 million in owing year, because all of that was owing. That is, and let me just say too, one of the reasons why it's hard to get things, the consumables, is because we wasn't paying the bills. So the suppliers don't want to give us more stuff because we're not paying the bills. So those are the things we have been working on over the couple months to get it to that point, so that we now have a better relationship with those suppliers. And of course, we have the 3-year contracts, because another decision is the same kind of decision that boards have made, is to move away from giving people permanency as public servants in the Tobago Regional Health Authority and give them contracts, and give them short-term contracts over the last how many years. So that's what we've been doing over the last 10 months, even without the board, giving those hundreds and hundreds of temporary workers who are
Member,
getting month to month.
your time has since elapsed.
Madam Presiding Officer, I now rise to move that the speaking time for the member for Belgarden, Glamorgan, be extended by a further 10 minutes.
Members, the question is that 10 minutes of additional speaking time be given to the member. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? The ayes have it. Member, you have 10 additional minutes of speaking time. You may continue.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I don't think I'll need all of it. I just wanted to say that, yes, so we have a situation now where we came in with very demoralized healthcare workers, and we've actually been working to bring them up to a place where they feel more comfortable to provide the quality service that I know and we know they can actually provide. I would want to round out, Madam Presiding Officer, with correcting something that is inaccurately circulating. And I got a message about it, I think yesterday, and I just want to be on record as saying, when the Minister of Health spoke in the budget presentations a couple of weeks ago, spoke about, and I almost hate this term now, ex gratia payments to healthcare workers. And what was indicated in his presentation was that these payments were going to be made for the RHAs in Trinidad, and he spoke about them because that's under the ministry. And he did not include the Tobago Regional Health Authority. For obvious reasons, the minister is not directly responsible for the Tobago Regional Health Authority. And what I want to state explicitly is that those payments, when it is, of course, approved and they send the money from Trinidad and all of that good stuff, will take place for all of the healthcare workers in Tobago, all. Because there's a rumor going around that it's only the doctors and nurses that might get it. That is not true. Because we recognize over the last couple of years that those who you probably don't think about were probably the most important. The sanitation workers were probably the most important people in the healthcare system at that time. So all of the workers will be getting it. And that happened again because this Executive Council is trying our best to govern Tobago and to do it in a way that makes sense and to not necessarily make enemies with the cabinet just because we're on different sides of the political fence. So when the minister contacted me, even before anyone knew publicly about it, the minister called me and said, Faith, he calls me Sister Faith, we are doing this. Send me the number, send me the dollar figure for Tobago. And that is what I did. I sent the full dollar figure. And then when I heard the uproar about them only speaking about 4 RHA, I then messaged him again. I said, what's going on? He said, Sister Faith, is what you're telling me, not the figure. That is the figure I put in. It will just, of course, come through Ministry of Finance because that is where the money comes through to get to Tobago. So to all of the healthcare workers in Tobago, those of you who are part of the Tobago Regional Health Authority, and those who worked with the Office of the County Medical Officer of Health, all of you, that payment, as promised by the minister, should be coming to you as soon as they work out the process for that. In the end, Madam Presiding Officer, I would ask those of us on this side to, why are we here at this time? Be it resolved that this House agrees that the Executive Council should take immediate and appropriate actions towards the urgent appointment of a Tobago Regional Health Authority Board of Directors. This Executive Council has already done that, and it is now up to the colleagues in Trinidad to do their part to bring this to an end. Again, Madam Presiding Officer, allow me to thank all of the healthcare workers, all of the social support workers, all of the social protection workers, because that is what they do. That is what they do, unlike what those on the other side are calling them. That is what they do. I would like to thank all of them for all of their hard work during this period. And because of that, we are all going to move into the next period in a better position improving our quality as we go forward. Madam Presiding Officer, I thank you.
Assemblyman Duke.